Hi there, it's Mare. I am bringing to you this journal. I'm going to do a quick flip through of it. It measures approximately 6 3/4 by 4 1/4. It's very chunky, so if that's not your jam, if that's not your thing, I do make chunky journals. They're heavily embellished, lots of different metals and lace. I used antique and vintage lace. I don't think any of it was brand new. I beaded the spine here. It's very grungy. It's very scrappy kind of journal. And I made this domino. And it just kind of sits there and becomes part of the beading. I had so much fun doing that. I just did a simple closure, and it's a piece of muslin. I have this antique lace here with some vintage, I believe it's some of my doll clothing, the vintage antique doll clothing that I have, just little scraps of it. You can untie it and open it up. If you don't like all the strings, whoever gets this, you're more than welcome to just cut away at them. The theme of this is with a broken wing. I put some charms here, a little green charm that I thought matches the wing, and they are kind of broken and just tattered is the word. This book here, the book cover I used is an old, I believe it's at the 1800s. It was a French book. And there I just put the words with a broken wing. And on this little book charm, it doesn't open. I mean, if you pried it open, it would open with blank pages. But let me get in camera better. It says, "A story by a little girl." And the words here and some of the words that are in the book are from really old newspaperish magazines, ladies' magazines and girls' magazines. I just grungied up this piece of scrap from a jewelry piece, and I thought it matched really well. Okay, inside, I did gesso some. This pocket here, this is a very old piece of lace. I've done like some stitching here and there, put some gesso back here with this collaging, and this is from an old 1800s magazine. Here I did these scraps. So most of my scraps that I have in the background will show a word, a phrase, or something that has to do with the theme of the book. This says abandoned here, and just a piece of sari ribbon and ruined there. This girl, I just love these images, and any digitals that I've used, I will put, to the best of my ability, I will make a list of the shops that from Etsy that I got them from. Little rusted, I did a ton of rusting the past couple of weeks. Rusted little paper clip here of a bow. Let me bring it down a little bit. And this tag here says mercy on one side and love on the other, my shadow. This has a little rusted bow and safety pin. And in the pocket, I put this little book of secrets. And I used some very old notebook paper and made this. It could be written on, or little notes. And that goes in this pocket. This story is about, just briefly, it's just about coming from bad circumstances or some kind of, I'm just going to leave it there, but into hope and grace and love. So here is just a tea book journal that I put little bits of scraps of lace and stuff on it, and you could put something on the back of each page and journal on it. I related to this book, and I thought, well, you know what? Others may relate to it in different ways, so I'm not going to put my own spin on it. I dyed this lace here, this vintage lace, and it's just so, I just loved how the little tiny flowers on it. It does have a pink tone to it. I don't know if you can notice that, but there's a pocket for a little something. There's a tuck for behind here, and I'll put a little bag, like always with my journal, a little bag of extras that anybody who gets this will be able to fill it in. And this is, a lot of those old magazines have the poetry, so this one I really liked for this book. And this is an old envelope, and it does have a pocket at the top. And I just put in this this paper clip here that I made, the hidden paper clip, and this is just a little flip. This is from 1904. And then this paper clip here is one of my butterflies that I make, and put it on this rusty paper clip to hold this shut. A very old, from 1905 announcement, a piece of ephemera that I just loved how the colors all blended together. Some of my favorite color combinations. And this folds out, so lots of room for writing or tucking little special things. The other side of this says, "Oh, wind that heard my weeping." And I do use this piece of vintage sheet music. I almost said sheet metal, yeah. Sheet music. I've copied it and added little bits of it. There's a tuck with an old cabinet card, a small one, and little pieces of ephemera here just tucked in there. And this is a picture of a very old house on this old postcard here, so it represents her house. And I can put, oh, I had that on the inside. I'll put that in there. Put the paper clip back on. I had it facing out, but you could do either way. A little piece, a little letter here that I liked the color of it, and I added this little tuck here. And I made this tag with a piece of vintage lace, and lace just real grubby, and just wanted it to match really well with the theme of the book. An old postcard picture of this classroom, and here in the little corner here of this page it says "My little friends," and then here it says "One of her playmates looked." And here's some little flowers in the background, just all muted. And this little piece here says "The little voice ceased," and this was, you know, about this little girl. And then it flips up, and there's room. Let me bring it back. Room for writing here. This little piece of 1800s ledger on this very pulpy paper. And there's some collaging. This has gesso on it. It can be written on with this little tuck. I made it so it's open on the bottom. And I did that because this is really super old doll, but some of it's children's clothing. And I love the pleats on it. I loved the color. And a little rusty pin, and I even like how the rusty things in the book leave a little bit of a residue, as it would if it was, you know, really old and it sat for a while. So I didn't put glue on the bottom of this. You're welcome, or whoever gets this is welcome to do that, obviously. But I wanted it to be open like that, and it still looks like a pocket, but it's a tuck. So there. And that's just an old piece of ephemera here. I made this little piece with this window, and it just love these little images and little area for a word or two on the back, and it slides in there. And the little girl had quite the imagination just to escape her circumstances. And there's lots of little papers there, and it flips up to reveal this side too. And a couple blank pages, not many in here, but there's blank pages here and here. And this says "Flightless Bird" at the top here, and it says "Brave It" down here. And it's a tuck, it comes all the way through, and I made this tag with this image and this little piece. I just put a piece of black rhinestone on this little metal flower. I just like how it looked sitting out there. Here's another tag that I created in this pocket here. It has some pieces of ephemera in it. Some 1800s, early 1900s is usually what I stick with. Some sari ribbon. This is part of a book spine of this book, very old. A couple pieces of ephemera, collaging in the back. Added this little piece of ephemera. This is collaged on here. Decoupaged on here, and a little extra piece. And I made this altered clip, and it's got the key and a heart, and on the other side is just a black safety pin. A lot of what I was thinking was just, you know, putting pieces back together again. And I'll show you that side in a minute. This is a tag. It's a double tag. So it has a little place here, and I just put a little old ticket there, and I made that in the back, and it's watercolor paper. So it's very durable. This is a very old French postcard. Got lots of writing. I don't read French, so if somebody's they want to translate, they can, but I liked the text. I thought it looked really cool. And here's a piece of old ledger on the other side of that clip with a black tree, old postcard. Made this little tuck area here. It just opens up at the side, and I grungied up some little tiny ruffle, which I really enjoy using. Piece of old ephemera here. Up here it says, not a dry place to lay my cheek upon. So that goes there. A solid plain piece there, little decorative corner. Here's a little tuck with a little book, and it's got a little fairy on it. Fairies were very special to this little girl, and she just loved the escape of the fantasy of the stories. And here's a little poem from a very old children's book. Added this little ruffle, and I made this piece here for this clip, rusted clip, and a rusted big paper clip, and added these rusted charms on here. And I just love how it turned out. I like the sound of it. And here on this word violet here, I thought was really cool, and willow here. A lot of the, when I used to collect very old dolls, I would name them Willow. So I don't know, it's just special to me, and violet is a very special name to me as well. So I added that, and you can adjust this anywhere you go, and I like the residue. So it's not a mistake. So that hangs here. This is just a little piece. I liked the text of this French piece here. Very old magazine strip here. I made this little booklet, and it's from a 1913 envelope. Added the butterfly, and just able to have room for extra writing. A little Edith Holden piece. Very scrappy, and just a couple little pieces of ephemera in that back pocket. And this opens, let me take that clip off once again, and that flips open as well, but it's got a couple pieces of this grayish paper here. Let me put that back in there, and it just all the colors were muted enough to work together, so I liked that. And then this piece, a piece of ephemera here. Oh, there we go. But area to journal there. I made this other clip here, and you can move it to whoever gets this, wherever they want. And I don't know if you can notice it, but she's got little wings on her. Yeah. So I loved the lobster clasp, how it turned out too, and that's the back. It is metal. So there's that. And then here I just put some hearts together, made a little pouch, and another booklet with this vintage style bag. And you can put stuff in there. There's little pieces of ephemera and writing, and just fun to have that little extra space there. This girl here, and she flips, this page flips up like this. Oh, I got it clipped. Sorry. And the little pieces here that I thought would be really cute with little notes. And that clip goes on there. This I made, and it does just hang over the page, but this is that like particle board, I guess you would call it, or balsam wood. And she's a little fairy, and it's raining, or you could, interpret that any way you wish. This is a very old piece of a doll dress, and I added this vintage button here and made this tag. Just scrappy little pieces on there, and that clip up there. And this has a little little teddy bear charm on it. Little piece of ephemera tucked in that pocket with some added lace. And I just like the fragileness of the ruffle. Couple pieces here and there of blank space. Made this. Here's a couple pieces of ephemera, a vintage photo. Made the little paper clip here, altered paper clip that has a little antique black button on it. There's a poem here, and it's a children's hymn, and I loved the words with that. And here is, this says Extraordinary Deliverance, and we'll get to that. This is part of a magazine and just collage of different pieces. And this page here is one of the black pages, and it has a, and I hope you can read the word through it. It says "to be seen," and it had one little scrap of rhinestone on there, which I thought was adorable. But there's the other side. This tape here is not, I did not make it. It's from a very old book, so it's authentically vintage brown tape. And it says, like I said, "to be seen." This is, I think, tobacco papers. And I just brought it together, and it says "a heavy heart." They're very, very thin and delicate, and I thought the contrast was very interesting, and I liked that. And then in this little bag here, this little envelope, I have the miniest, smallest little journal. Then she's holding dry flowers, and it's got little itty bitty pages, and I just sewed that. I initially made the pouch. Oh, am I going to be able to get that out? Come on, come on. All right, I'm going to have to get in there and get it. Let me see. Okay, there we go. So initially I made this little pouch for her, which is cute. And then I just added the bag. So I wanted her to stick out just a little bit, so that works like that. And then this piece, I made this little just odd frame type thing, but it's very solid, and it has a tuck area in this, and inside there is another little scrappy booklet and a piece of onion skin, and that just unfolds like that. Love the sound of it. And then blank behind it, very old piece of doll dress for the ruffle. And here's just a flip up. I made a little cluster. This little girl here has a very, love the patina on this, how it turned out, a very aged bow. And this little girl here, and it says hope here. So it's going to turn a different direction now. And that opens. And here's just a little note card, vintage, and another piece of a fairy there, and more of that. I'm really hoarding this, all the little scraps of it, but I'm like, no, I got to use my stuff. So very pretty blue ledger page underneath. And there's a cluster there for this tuck. And to me, this is her when she's older, and just some little pieces of paper in there. And I liked that book. And here is a little piece from a gospel magazine from the 1800s, 1833. And there's lots of room to journal on this little piece. And then this is just a little Bible, and I have a couple little verses in there, but it's a very cute little symbolism, I suppose. And this dyed ruffle, and I dyed that the color I like, the coffee color. And here is a little area for writing here, little torn edges and stuff, and this says gospel on there. And then here it says, "You make me brave, keep my eyes above the waves." And there's another one of those beautiful images of the fairies, very monochromatic. And I took some old envelopes and some ripped up pieces, and I just put them all together in a scrappy way. So there's little areas for noting down things, but it's very, very grubby and scrappy. Here's a little scrap of ledger, French ledger. You open that up, and these pieces are all like put together, so it's not perfect. It's not going to be super smooth. And this is just an envelope with a couple of pieces of really cool ephemera that flips all the way up for this area here. Oh, excuse me. Okay. And this here opens up, and I have an envelope with some little tiny pieces in it and some little scraps. Another area here with some of that old tape. Page here, and this is just like the two of them. That's how I looked at it, that she found love with somebody. So she here's a letter, and it's a love letter, and I'll let whoever gets that read that. That says love on there, and little scrappy pieces, little piece from their wedding, and a little menu in French, another piece of onion skin there. And here, this little angel, I just love the picture. And that flips up a couple of times, and that's a rusty clip with a rusty clip that I put together with an angel wing and a little rhinestone. Here is a poem. Let me see if I can take that clip off. That flips up. Another old postcard. Here it says grace. And here God in his holy, I think I put, yeah, God, that's what I was going for here. And then a wish, and this little poem here is so pretty. And this flips open here for anything that, you know, anybody wanted to tuck in there. And this here is a study in lightness, it says, and it's a belly band here, so something else could go there. And a card here, and that flips down and back up again. This little blessing thing found, and it says my chains are gone. So, you know, she just came to the Lord, and she found her refuge in that. And my chains are gone, set free. And then little scrappy papers. It flips up, more of that really pretty blue ledger. This is another tuck here. And this is just a broken piece of chain. And this is the robes of white, and it's just a beautiful poem. And here is, she had a broken wing, but here at the end you can see her fly, and this moves, and she moves with it, and then overall both of them open up, and there could be a secret message there, or a message whoever wanted to write something down there. And it just stays put. And that is the back. So I hope you enjoyed it, guys. I hope you like this. I will put this in my Etsy shop, and just check for availability. I put that link in the description box below. Have a great day, guys. Bye.